So spring is around the corner. Thank goodness, might get some nice weather. What I want to talk to you about in relation to spring is something that you can all have a lot of fun with, and that is macro photography. Now, there's a few things that we need to consider with macro. I'm not going to go really in depth because we cover more of that in our actual main courses and main programs, but I'm just going to give you a few little pointers and some ideas about macro that can help you out, because with spring coming up, you've got lots of flowers coming out, insect activity, all sorts going on, and macro subjects all around you and can make great material for photography. So what I wanted to speak about was different macro options and what you can do with lenses to get really good macro shots. Now, macro shots basically mean magnifying an image to at least its actual relative size compared to the recording medium. So for example, I've got a 20p coin here, and if you wanted to record that at 1:1 on a full frame sensor camera, then that should appear about the same size as life size. But with certain macro lenses and certain techniques, you can go above life size and you can actually get even more magnified images. So I'm going to show you a couple of little quick things with that. Now, first of all, I just borrowed this camera off a friend. This is an older model Canon EOS 350D, sort of entry-level digital camera, and it's got the standard 18 to 55mm lens on it. Now, that lens effectively isn't a macro lens, but if you put it into the 55mm focal length and then switch it to manual focus and turn it to its closest focusing distance, don't try and let the autofocus do it, put it on manual focus, put it to its closest focusing distance, and then you can just simply move your body backwards and forwards like that until you get as close as you can, and then that's the highest magnification that you'll get out of that lens. Now, that gave a pretty good close-up. You could do some interesting flower shots or detail shots with that. But some of the other lenses that you can get, this is an independent brand. This is a Tamron 70 to 300 telephoto lens. Now, some of these lenses actually have a macro mode built into them. And this one has exactly that. And if we position it to the right settings, it extends out, lets me put it into macro mode, and it'll allow me to focus really closely on the subject and magnify it to get actually a true macro image. And the results of that are quite impressive. In actual fact, we're going to do a comparison of the results that you can get out of these different lenses that you can watch in the next episode. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to use each one of these lenses. I'm going to film through it on a 7D and film the results so you can see the different scale of these coins. So, a off-the-shelf independent brand, reasonably priced. I think something like this will be a couple £100, which is, $300. That's got telephoto features and macro features. Now you can go all the way up to something a lot more expensive. This is a dedicated macro lens. And this is quite a special one. This is the MPE 65. And this doesn't give you just 1:1 power. This gives you 5 times magnification, 5 times life size on a full frame sensor, which means we can get an incredible tiny amount of detail to show up. Fantastic for photograph and small insects. So again, in the next episode, you'll see the results of this compared to this one and compared to this one. But some of these macro lenses like this can be quite expensive. This one I think maybe retails at about £1,000, maybe more, maybe about $1,500, not quite sure. As I said, that one maybe £200, $300. This one comes with the camera, but I can show you a way where you can convert this into a more powerful macro lens with some simple accessories. And that's these things. These things are called extension tubes. And extension tubes are basically a lensless tube, meaning they've got no glass in, they just act as a spacer that you put between your lens and the camera body. So effectively you take the lens off and then you install one of these extension tube spacers, and then you reattach the lens on the front. And that then allows the lens to focus much closer than it could previously, and therefore giving you an increase in magnification, but all at a much reduced cost compared to buying an actual macro lens. Now, optically, the quality isn't as good. It's not as perfectly suited to macro work as a dedicated macro lens. So if you're really into macro photography, you want to really get into it, then obviously getting a true macro lens is great. But these things are fantastic because they're really well priced. I think you can pick up a set of these extension tubes for around $120, something like that. That's about £90. And they come as a set of extension tubes that you can basically use individually to give you different strengths, or you can use all three of them combined to give you a super strength, massive enlargement, ridiculously scaled enlargement compared to what you get with just the lens on its own. Now, whilst we're talking about macro and we're talking about spring and the subject material that you can cover, obviously there are lots of other things that you can photograph in macro mode. It doesn't have to be flowers at spring. It can be all sorts of abstract shots or different small objects, even stuff you find around the home that you want to do some sort of weird detail shots on, like maybe the end of a pencil or something. And interestingly, these compact cameras have a built-in macro mode as well. And quite surprisingly, you can actually get pretty good macro results out of these compact cameras. When you put them into the macro mode setting on the camera, it allows you to focus that little bit closer, and you can do some really good detail shots, abstract shots, or shots of flowers. And in one of our titles, the compact camera, Better Photos with Your Compact Camera course that we have, we go into some detail about doing macro shots with the compact camera and also about macro abstract shots with a compact camera. So do check out the Better Photos with Your Compact Camera. Do check out our Advanced 1 Digital Photography course, because that one we demonstrate extension tubes and macro lenses and techniques for getting macro shots and also adding flash in as well. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of some of the options and how extension tubes can help you. But tune in for the next episode when we'll show you exactly the different results of what these lenses will provide.